blockchain space, including legal counsel, metaverse users, and originators in the blockchain space and the creation space. So first up, we have Emmanuel Samson. Emmanuel was featured in Vancouver's Canada's Philippine Chronicle newspaper as second generation success entrepreneur in the up and up. Possessing over 28 years in marketing and business management experience combined with 30 years in IT, Emmanuel is the perfect person to give us a simplified and answer all of our questions pertaining to the NFT space. Emmanuel, how are you doing today?
Fantastic. Thanks for that warm welcome, Ben. Keeping it real over here. I can't stay awake.
Course.
It's like 12 midnight, but it's okay.
Well, thank you for being with us.
This stuff.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Congratulations on your career this far. So how long have you been in the blockchain space specifically?
In blockchain specifically, I would say since 2016, 17. But I was exposed to it through Bitcoin payments early on, 2011, 12.
As a user or spectator?
Actually, a little bit of both, because we were a software company and we built online casino games, and it was used as a form of payment, right? So we didn't know, of course, I'm one of those guys. Why, but we got it in time, but not as good as most of the other guys. But
okay, so tell me of what a lot of people want to hear and a lot of questions that I've been getting around this event. What particularly is an NFT?
Well, keep it simple. Technically, it's a non-fungible token, right? Now, without getting too technical, think of it as a digital asset, if you will, right? Meaning it's on the internet, it's online. So it's not your specific, or it's not specific to virtual products, right? But because of the NFT space now, you can now have real live products, right? An NFT is on the blockchain to protect rights, to protect both on the, let's say, the buyer side and the seller side, right? Because once you have an NFT, nobody can cheat you. Nobody can say, I've got the same one, because it's, without getting too technical, it's really linked to a specific whole bunch of numbers, we call it, right? That's registered on the blockchain, right? So it's a digital asset that allows, the marketplaces now to basically sell not just e-commerce products that you see now, like on eBay or what have you, but you have actual virtual products, and creators have the ability to really expand.
That's interesting you said that. Sorry to interrupt you, but it's interesting you said that about the retail space. So with an NFT, does that mean it's one of one, or can it be multiple of something and still be an NFT?
Oh, it can be both. That's the beauty of NFT, right? So that's awesome. So, and I think with the industry, the film industry now seeing the benefits, I think it's just they're poised, right?
So what are some of those benefits that you see just right off the top from your profession?
Oh, wow. Number one is transparency, of course. That's number one. For me, technology aside, blockchain for me is more of I look at it as built-in trust, built-in integrity. Through the programming, through the coding, through the cryptography, what have you, it gives you that. So being part of this ecosystem, that it's real, meaning, it's not fake. It's like an automatic thing, right? Just like for voting, for example, right? If you were to use this for voting, now people can't cheat. That's why some governments won't do it, unfortunately, right? but you know what I'm saying? But yeah.
So following the NFT question, what is a smart contract? How are they cohesive?
Again, from a technical point of view, smart contracts, just lots of code, right? But this code is really beneficial to both parties, both the, as you said earlier, the spectator, and let's say the seller, right? The user, and also the creators. So it's a beneficial contract. It's not your typical contract that you see, but think of it as a line of code that protects both buyer and seller if you're going to have a commerce transaction.
Okay.
In a nutshell.
Okay. So can you tie those in to NFTs in the process, and how easy is it to automate those?
Well, yeah, of course. From a technical point of view, it's quote unquote easy. However, there's a lot of things to be done around that. But that's the fun part. That's where creativity comes into play, right? Because you want to protect. Let's say you have a creator that has certain content, whether it be a music video or film, and then you have the buyers, right? So you need to have certain milestones in place through the smart contract, and it's an inevitable marriage, right? Because they need to work hand in hand. If you don't have a smart contract attached to an NFT, sometimes you don't, we don't know what's going to happen. Let's say in year 1, year 2. I mean, we can go discuss the NFTs in the film industry, the digital rights and the royalties, what have you. But think of it as, you're a common place or an ecosystem where everyone's going to feel that the value that they bring into the table to this ecosystem will be well compensated. It won't be just going to a few intermediaries, which is another benefit of blockchain. It cuts out these people, right?
Yeah, and we had a question pertaining to smart contracts versus real contracts and how they're exercised. So I think that was a great question. So what do you think about that?
Well, yeah, of course, a real contract. I mean, I'm not a lawyer. I can't speak on behalf, but it really, you need both. You need someone to write up that smart contract, right? They necessarily don't need to know how to code, but they need to know the transaction, what needs to happen. And then from there, from a real contract, let's call it the real world contract, then you got the coders say, how do we make it beneficial for both? With set milestones, with efficiencies, right? With all the benefits the blockchain can bring. So you don't have to worry about, oh, wow, do we need to collect today? Like, for example, if you've got a real life contract for royalties, right? That it's going to be paid on time from the different channels too, right? From distribution to retail, to that whole supply chain is taken care of.
And that's strictly from smart contracts, is what you're saying?
Yes.
Because it's automated, it makes it that much more easier and guaranteed.
Correct.
Awesome. So tell me, Emmanuel, what are you working on currently in that blockchain space? I'm sure people want to hear about it.
Yeah, well, we're working on a few things right now, actually. Impero, we're a consortium group. We're out of the Philippines. We target the blockchain entities that want to be featured in a legal mandate, right? That's what we're doing. It's in a jurisdiction in a Freeport zone in the Philippines. And we're working with a lot of different developers on the NFT space, the real estate space, tokenization, right? So yeah, please come check out our website, imperocorp.com.
And that's a good point you brought up. What is token? Say that again.
So tokenization.
Yeah, what's that?
Tokenization. So one of the products that we're working on is Ferrocoin, which is the first mineral-backed iron ore. Right. What we mean by that is there's a lot of stable coins, if you will. So we try to create a hybrid, and this is more of a commodity token. And we're not calling it an ICO. We're trying to, and thanks to one of our buddies that's online with us here, we're calling it an audited commodity offering. Okay. Right. So and it's within the SEC legal jurisdiction in the Philippines. Right. But tokenization, basically, so to answer your question, is to really take real world businesses and then, for lack of a better term, blockchain enable them, and then use the blockchain ecosystem to raise funds or expand the business. So you tokenize it. So yeah,
that's interesting. So I guess my final question before I let you go, and Emmanuel will be back for questions at the end. My final question would be. That's what it was. You had the most experience here on the panel in the marketing industry. And I know we have a lot of filmmakers on board, and that's kind of the missing link between self-distribution. So what is your key advice that you've seen in the NFT blockchain space with successes in selling their projects and having successful launch and fundraising and, that sort?
That's a great question. Actually, 2017, we did try to launch an NFT product, and this is before NFT became, very famous. We had, we really wanted to be the blockchain versions of Netflix, if you will. That was really our key goal, right? To protect everybody in the ecosystem. And for marketing, it's very simple. Sometimes you've got, everybody has a story, and I'm not in the film industry, but I know that there's so many stories out there that can be on film, right? But the one thing lacking, a couple of things. Number one is funding, right? And then number two, distribution. Now, because of the new communities being built online, especially in NFT communities, the content creator can now, solicit funds from their fans or for just anybody in the film industry or anybody that's interested in this, because everyone will now partake a piece of this NFT or of this film, and that makes distribution and marketing a lot easier because it's a win-win situation, right?
Mhm. And how what's the best way to onboard these early investors? And because I mean, me personally as a marketer, what I'm hearing through and throughout is community building.
Yes,
So
yes.
so do you agree with that? Is community the number one focus in blockchain as far as
I
your
agree.
projects go?
Yes,
Okay,
community is definitely at the forefront. But there's
awesome.
also you also need to do that's community on the social on the online side, but you also got to get out on the real world side. There has to be a learning curve. Oh, there's a learning curve, but there has to be education, right? And let
Hmm.
people know. Don't be afraid of blockchain. It's real and it's
Yeah,
affecting everything. Yeah.
and communicate. I mean, I think that's one of the most prominent ways to onboard is just communicate with your community and have that consistent, line of communication with them.
Yeah, for sure. One of my favorite words is, paradigm shift. And that's what we're here. There's a
Mhm.
paradigm shift, not just in the film industry, but in all industries because of the blockchain, right? And
Exactly.
of course, but it's creativity, you know what I mean? And
Hmm.
that the reason why I like it is because it connotes innovation and change. And I
Yeah,
think the film industry is ripe for that. We don't want that
exactly.
let the big boys take all the money this time, right?
The
There's
gatekeepers.
a big pie. Yeah, exactly. There's a
Hmm.
big pie, man. I mean, you got a lot of people online, right? And you got a
Exactly.
lot of fans too. So you also give the fans with marketing, you give them a voice as well, right? So
Hmm. Well, Emmanuel, I appreciate your time. I really do. Thank you for being with us. I know it's late. I hope you can stick around for
yeah, no problem.
another hour for some questions, and we'll see you back then. So if anyone
Thank
has
you.
questions for Emmanuel on the chat, be sure to write them right now, and I'll go back and review them at the end of the call. Have a great day.
Thanks. Talk to you soon.
You too. All right. Up next, we have two people from legal counsel. We have Peter and Winton, who are with give me 1 second. I lost their law firm. Peter and Winton, why don't you guys go ahead and go? We have over 40 years of legal experience pertaining to the blockchain Web3 space and the copyright industry. And what was the law firm called one more time, Peter?
It's a Parlatory Law Group.
Parlatory Law Group. Sorry about that. I'm lost in my
No,
notes right now.
no worries, no worries.
And I'll give Winton another second. He was just on, but I think something happened.
Oh, he's got a technical difficulty. There he is.
There he is.
No, we're good. Going?
How you guys doing?
Good, good. So yes. So Winton, if you want to start, go ahead, Ben. You're back up.
Yeah. So Peter and I are with the Parlatory Law Group. We both work in the film industry, music industry. We do copyright. We do IP. So that covers copyright, your trademarks, your patents. And yeah, we've combined, like you said, we've both been in the industry itself for well over 40 years. I know personally, I started in the film and television industry when I was like 2. So I grew up in it, and Peter can give you more about his background, but he was in the music industry for like 15, almost 20 years before even becoming an attorney. And the same on my side. So I was in the film and television industry since I was 2. And then I was a television news reporter for about 6 or 7 years before I even went to law school and got into the legal space. But yeah, as soon as we saw NFTs come up a couple of years ago, we knew this was going to be the game changer for arts and entertainment. Peter,
Yeah.
you can give a little bit about your background.
Yeah. So my background is in music. I've worked in artist production, development, management, music publishing for years and years. For Jelly Bean Benitez publishing company. So I learned the inner workings of copyrights, so synchronization, licensing, placements, television, advertisements, royalties, learning the complicated aspects of copyright law or copyrights in general. And then later went to law school. We've been in this space though we have our entertainment law podcast called Law in the Limelight, where me, Winton, and Max Haas, who's not with us today, but we have been following NFTs now for close to almost a year. Emmanuel said it right. It's a paradigm shift. And it is a mesh of the old system to a new world. I mean, it is the same thing as when we did not have the internet to having the internet. And I think philosophically, people in the industry are getting their heads wrapped around what that means and what are those implications on the law. And it's just a really, really exciting space to be right now. So thanks for having us.
Yeah, I'm excited for you guys to break it down for them and simplify it. So first off, how did, you guys said you've been in the space for a while, but the NFTs, fairly new. So what changed? Like what did you see in the NFT space, or, that sparked that plug?
I think naturally we've seen NFTs start out in the visual art space because it was easy to understand visual art, NFT, they go together, they're collectible, you can sell them. And then I think from there, it sparked an interest in, correct me if I'm wrong, Peter, it sparked an interest in the music industry when music artists realized, hey, these artists are really starting to be able to take control and police their own copyrights without the middleman of a manager or a label or an art house or gallery or something like that. They've really been able to take control of their art. And immediately when this came out, the first thing I said to Peter was, yo, this is going to be the end of the idea of the starving artist. In the past, we've seen artists, especially in the visual art space, who make these beautiful pieces, but they can't necessarily sell them. And if they do sell them, they sell one here, one there. They're still trying to make ends meet, and they're really in it for the passion of doing their art, right? So now they were able to put it out there, sell it, and then be attached to it on every transaction going down the road, right? And then that piqued the interest of the music industry and is now piquing the interest of the film industry. And it's gonna take off. It's gonna take off.
Next is literature. That's what I have in my head. I think next would be literature, but that's interesting to hear. So I'm hearing a lot of pros on NFTs. What are some of the early cons that we're seeing from the legal aspect and some of the mistakes that artists are making in that space, just ignorantly without doing the research?
Copyright. Go ahead, Peter.
Yeah. Well, I think there's mistakes being made by a couple different entities. You have the mistakes of people thinking that they can sell NFTs of others' copyrightable works. And this is something that is clearly prohibited. We're seeing, marketplaces get sued over this, over listing copyrighted material. We're seeing this across the board, right? We saw Jay-Z sue Damon Dash over the Reasonable Doubt NFT. We're seeing Quentin Tarantino get sued by Miramax. We're seeing a lot of lawsuits about the actual copyright. So I have a good way to sort of remember this is that pictures, film, music are copyrights. Copyrights are not NFTs. An NFT may display a copyright with permission, and a copyright can self-police itself on smart contracts. And I wanted to add something to what Emmanuel was saying about smart contracts. Is what excites me most about this from a legal perspective is that in a smart contract, unless the duties and obligations of the parties that are subject to that contract perform their duties and obligations, there is no money exchanged. So the idea of breach of contract is sort of something of the past because you do not get your exchange of cryptocurrency in that smart contract unless you perform your duties and obligations. And our old contract law basically lets the parties sort of go about their day and then sue for breach of contract in court. And 3 years later, if they show the jury or the judge that they should win, they get their money after $150,000 is spent in legal fees. Smart contracts replace the need to do that just generally. And however, there are some limitations, and there's a lot of legal scholars that have come out. I've read a lot of their material recently on what are the limitations of smart contracts. And the one main one that they're identifying at this point is that smart contracts can do simple transactions. If A, then B. They will be more complex as they develop them. But when you get into the nitty gritty of if, then B, then maybe C, and you get into that logic world and you're dealing with duties and obligations, it can get a little wishy-washy. I think the industry will develop those out. But then you also have, on the one hand, you have people that are creators that are making the mistakes of not clearing their copyrights before selling the NFT. And you also have strategic decisions made by entities such as the developers of Bored Apes versus CryptoPunks. Okay, so we have two different situations here where you have Bored Apes now is greatly outselling in the NFT space CryptoPunks. I think it's 59 million for Bored Apes, 17.5 for CryptoPunks. And there's a fundamental reason why. I believe Bored Apes is getting it right when it comes to the DAO. The DAO is the governing coin that's going to control ownership and involvement in the community of who buys the NFT itself. That encouragement is actually extending intellectual property rights to the buyer, whereas CryptoPunks did not do that. They said you own this nice little code. You do not own the intellectual property behind it. And if you're looking at the NFT of changing a paradigm shift, which was Emmanuel was saying, I would agree with that. But in order to do that and get the community involved, if this is a decentralized version of the internet, then let it be so. So I believe in creating the DAO, the governing tokens to govern these sales, with community involvement and intellectual property being extended to the buyer, which is complicated and would involve an entire reset on our current copyrights, I know, but we are seeing this structurally happen in the copyright world. We covered an episode, Malcolm and Marie by Zendaya. Zendaya gave a percentage of equity to every single person who worked on that film. And by the time the end of the day, it netted, $300,000 per production assistant for the equity on the film. If you're looking at that concept and you apply it to the DAO, if you apply it to the actual NFT itself, I think this is a win-win situation for the community and for the art sellers. But that's going to be the important strategy of the entities themselves that are creating the NFTs.
So with the legal structure we have right now, what advice would you give to filmmakers who maybe have a project ready or a project already released where they own? Because what it sounded like with your last answer is that the copyright is the key to NFT. In order to create an NFT, you need the copyright password or the copyright form, whatever. So what advice would you give to the filmmakers who currently have it or can obtain it and then just looking to get into the NFT space?
Start thinking about NFTs and your current your actual black and white, hard, real life contracts now. Because if you look at what's going on right now between Miramax and Quentin Tarantino, this is what every filmmaker needs to be paying attention to right now in the real world. We're not even talking about metaverse. We're not talking about smart contracts. We're talking about actual physical, hard, black and white, type it out on a computer contracts, right? Because that's at the end of the day, what's going to dictate what can be done with these NFTs going down the road. So for anybody that's catching up, you can go read about it. There's a lot of stuff written about it, but just kind of a quick rundown of it. Miramax filed suit against Quentin Tarantino for copyright infringement, breach of contract, trademark infringement, and unfair competition because he plans on auctioning off NFTs of exclusive scenes of Pulp Fiction in December, right? So it's going to be a collection of like 7 uncut scenes from Pulp Fiction. They're going to include handwritten scripts and notes and commentary directly from Tarantino. Miramax is contending that they still have broad rights over the film because Quentin Tarantino granted and assigned nearly all of his rights to the film to Miramax back in 1993. Now, Quentin Tarantino and his legal team are arguing that Miramax is just plain and just dead wrong, and that he has the rights to sell NFTs of his own handwritten scripts for Pulp Fiction. Miramax is also arguing that the consumers could be confused that Miramax is attached to Quentin Tarantino's sale of these NFTs, and that this could interfere with the studio's plans to go into their library and sell NFTs of what they have in their library. So at the end of the day, this is straight up copyright infringement. This is straight up, what does your contract say? What do your agreements say? This is straight up, what rights did you assign to who at what point, and what did it include? Was it in perpetuity? Was there only a term of 10, 15 years? what was included in that language, right? Because a court's not gonna go look at a smart contract. They're not gonna go at this point in time. They're not gonna go look at any of that. They're gonna go look at the hard contracts from 1993 to see what the language was. And now we've got to decide, where does an NFT fit in with copyrights? Because like Peter said earlier, NFTs are not copyrights. They are a tool that can be used to police copyright, but they are not copyrights. So now we've got to sit back and kind of look and see how this fleshes out and what this means for filmmakers going down the road. Because let's say this comes out in Quentin Tarantino's favor, it's game on for any and every director, producer, film writer to say, cool, I know what I can do. I can go out and do. If it lands in Miramax's court, then it's like, okay, filmmakers, producers, screenwriters, any other film professionals need to start making sure that language is included within their current contracts and agreements to say, don't write this down because it needs to be fleshed out, but something like, you know, in the future, I have the ability to NFT XYZ.
Get it in writing.
And do you guys have packages or hold consulting on this specific topic that we're talking about, as far as consulting with new producers, film fundraising, directors, that of the sorts, to get your film distributed?
Absolutely, because this is the future of film, right? It's the future of directors, screenwriters, whatever, getting their materials out there. The funding of it is going to change, and these big studios may not have the studios are almost, to me, going to end up like music labels. Correct me if you think I'm wrong, Peter, but I think in the music industry, where we're seeing music labels kind of starting to get booted out, I think these big studios are going to start getting booted out because, you know, diehard fan. I mean, I've got 2 Mandalorian helmets in the background. Like, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. And if they offered me a chance to purchase an NFT that would help fund a future Star Wars show, venture, whatever, count me in. I'm now vested in something that I am a huge fan of. And they fundraised on the backs of their major fans, right? And they don't necessarily, I mean, Disney is, this is just a broad thing. Don't quote me on that, because, you know, Disney's got the money to fund it on their own. Don't worry about that. But
Give me one. I had one last question for you guys. That was I think the last one. So to follow up on that, you guys said you do it for film, music. Is there any other sectors, or is it all NFT, anything related?
So just, I mean, I'm actually in the space too. I have a business partner, Anthony Winters. We have the Great Golden Griffin Gold Mine, which is an NFT curation. We actually have Metaverse space on OVR now, and we're working now to build out our lands and with our collections and whatnot. Learning how these spaces work, learning how the copyrights that we deal with within those metaverses work. How does payment come back? How are these things tracked? These are all open questions, and depending on the platform and depending on the metaverse, it's a gold rush. So you're going to, just like you saw back in the day with Napster, you're going to see companies come and go right now. And so you've got to really look at what it's doing. And I always tell people, you know, when people are confused on just like generally what an NFT is or what a crypto is, I say, what does the crypto do? You're not just looking at the rise and the fall of this price. That's the novelty of it all. That's the excitement of it all. Okay, forget about that. Look at what the actual coin itself does, and then look at whether or not you'd like to invest your time and effort and possibly money into what it is they do. They're companies. They all operate a little bit differently. Tokens work a little bit differently. Some are better than the rest. So I would say, keeping that in mind, to cast the biggest net as possible is just explore in as many metaverse spaces. I am fully now shifted completely into this world because I do think this is just going to replace our old system. It's better. It's more efficient. It's community driven. It's equity. There's so many elements of this that fit into our world today, and it will come. The whole industry hasn't woken up to it. They're dabbling, but it will eventually replace everything. That would be my educated guess at this point.
Yeah. And my final question would be what steps or what steps would people take to learn more about this space or kind of get involved in some communities? What are some channels or some things they can do?
I think the number one thing for me, at least, that you can do right now, and Peter can speak to the technicality of like actually getting into the space, but to me, as a filmmaker, as a entertainment professional, the number one thing you can do right now is pay attention to what is happening with these cases like Miramax and Quentin Tarantino. Pay attention to what's happening. Even though you're a filmmaker, pay attention to what's happening in music, the music space, in the visual art space, in the literary space, because those things at the end of the day all affect the film industry, because your screenplays often come from literary works. Your movie is not going to be the movie that you want it to be without, banging music, and you've got to do those sync licensing deals. So you've got to make sure those things are cleared. So you've got to know what's going on with NFTs in that space. If you've got visual art in the background of your set, you've got to make sure that stuff is cleared as well. So we, as a filmmaker, as an entertainment professional, pay attention to what's going on across the board in this industry to see what is happening, what things are being said, what courts are saying, what arguments attorneys are making on behalf of their clients. Just pay attention to it all. You don't have to be a professional. That's what we're here for. But at least come in with a base knowledge of like, okay, I know why Miramax is suing Quentin Tarantino and what Quentin Tarantino is arguing back to Miramax.
And would you guys as podcast be following on those court cases?
Yes,
100%.
We've covered all of this stuff. We'll be putting a Quentin Tarantino episode out shortly, but we covered the Damon Dash and Jay-Z episode. It didn't give us much guide into, like I said, NFTs are not copyrights, but they can publicly display copyrights. They were considered corporate assets in that particular case. So the bottom line is you need to contract for them. You have to have them in clauses, if anything broadly, and let those clauses sort of develop over time as the industry develops, but get it in writing now. A meeting of the minds and contract, you both have to agree that, hey, we're doing this creative project for copyrights, but this also includes NFT usage. And this is what it's going to look like when we launch our particular movie in a metaverse. Things along those lines.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, actual real life contract law is going to govern smart contracts because it's easily applicable. We know what our real life contract law is.
Flip it on.
We know there's got to be an offer. There's got to be an agreement. We know the elements of that, and it would only make sense for that to apply to smart contracts.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds perfect, guys. The information for Peter and Winston is in the description below. So if you are looking or if you are in the process of film and looking to distribute and need legal counsel, these are definitely your guys. Thank you guys for coming on board. We do have questions for you guys, so I hope you stick around another 20-30 minutes to get those questions out.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot for having us.
See you soon.
All right.
All right. Up next, we're going to talk about the 3 current methods of distribution in film currently. Just kind of to pertain or to touch on what Peter and Winston were talking about with distribution, fundraising, and distribution copy. So we have items like Kilroy was here, what was sold as a single NFT. And then we have Experia View, who is pertaining on film copy. And we also have people selling figurines like Nifty is with Warner Bros. And into the metaverse, we have Ben Horning coming up next, who is the co-creator of BB Studios, host of Artist Hour on TokenSmart every Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern, and virtual land owner in several metaverses, including SandBox, Decentraland, and SuperWorld. Ben, are you there? Give Ben there he is. How you doing, Ben?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm great. So Ben is going to be showing us the metaverse, what it can do, and we're going to be talking about kind of the benefits in distributing via NFTs and what Experia View will be working on with him in the coming months of our film market.
I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with everybody.
Of course.
Everybody see that?
Yes, sir.
Big part of the reason why I'm talking to everybody today is because after starting our BB Studios, a startup in January, along with my co-founder, Ryan Hale, I decided to join. We already had a Twitter account on board, and the NFT art was starting to bleed into my Twitter feed as I got more interested about the subject, and I got in touch with people at TokenSmart. Put that in perspective, the person who started TokenSmart, Jim McNellis, is number 34 on Forbes top 50 or Nifty 50 list of most influential people in NFT space. So I got very lucky to be involved with this platform early on. Now, he actually formed a Discord channel, and I'll pull it up right now. Oop. So right now you can see they run several events.
Oh, Discord doesn't pull up on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
They
you're
run
right.
several events every day. I have one called Artist Hour, which thank you for introducing that.
Mhm.
And I do virtual tours in metaverses, which I'm going to show you one right now.
So real quick, while we do this, Ben, I'm going to ask you some questions. What is the metaverse? Because this is, the second time I'm seeing it, and the first time a lot of people are seeing it.
Think of the metaverse like another version of the internet. Okay. Now, what I'm showing you right now is CryptoVoxels. It's a specific verse within the metaverse. So think of each of these metaverses as basically a internet site, right, on the internet. So there can be lots of different virtual worlds, and each of them have their pros and cons. For instance, I like this one for my show because it's got good graphics. It's VR enabled already.
Okay.
As you can see, there's lots of usage. This is someone right now in real time saying hi. You get a lot of stats. The builder program is fairly intuitive, and it's mobile enabled as well.
So show us some BB Studios. What's that?
This is a gallery owned by SecondRealm, and I actually got a lot of my knowledge from his podcast called The Outer Realm on Spotify, and NFP with Decline on Cointelegraph. So those are some good resources as well. This is SecondRealm's gallery, which he made me an operator of. So I'm able to go in here and build at will, actually in real time. I can show you this. I can pull up a builder right now and add images if I wanted to.
And what's that project right now? And I know you told me yesterday, but it was really interesting.
This is a really, part of the reason why this is such a revolutionary space is Twitter is allowing artists to monetize their content and at the same time collaborate all over the world. And I'm not sure we have ever had, again, a paradigm shift. I'm not sure we've ever had ability to do that. So I actually did a show with the creator of this project on Monday, and it's called Sail the Stars NFT. And this creator is going to fund the purchase of a very large sailboat, around 100 feet he's aiming for, with the sale of all of this art. Now, this art is generative art based off of individual artists that have joined on to the project. So he's already got funding. And one cool thing about CryptoVoxels, it'll take me right to the project, or wherever I link it to, right? So this is Sail the Stars. They're going to pick up artists all over the world and sail them all over the world and do podcasts and videos. They're probably going to do a movie on it. Who knows? Mm-hmm. So very powerful distribution model here. So this is just CryptoVoxels. This is one of them. One of the cool things about CryptoVoxels is you can fly. So that's one of the metaverses that I do my show in, but I have multiple galleries. So my other one is in Decentraland.
So how do these galleries work? Do you work with separate artists, or do they come to you? You come to them?
A little bit of both. And
Okay.
I'll go out randomly on Twitter and find random artists that have never, talked about their art before, and we'll delve into their art and get a one-on-one. I do a live screen share during the podcast, so everybody can see what I'm talking about.
Sorry, what's the traffic look like for some of these projects? Does it depend on the artist, or is it pretty consistent?
It does depend on the artist.
Okay.
Sometimes, because TokenSmart is still building out, you've got that core audience that's always going to be there, but then the artist does bring a lot of audience with them. I've had upwards of 400 people in a podcast, depending on who the artist is. So
Awesome.
it is a little bit specific depending on that. The next one, which I really excited about because I actually own this parcel of land, is Decentraland. Now, one of the cool things about Decentraland is the builder lets you build entire scenes and save them. Whereas CryptoVoxels, you have to build it live. So I can have a lot of different content and I can switch out. Well, I reloaded this content literally 5 minutes before the show started, you
This
know.
is amazing. No, you're
So,
okay. So you own this land. What does that mean?
Well, to give you an idea, back in January, we were watching the development of these metaverses, and being a startup, my co-founder and I decided to get minimum viable product. So we purchased one parcel of land in Decentraland. It was still pretty expensive even back then for us. But if you go on the map, see there's Sotheby's right there. I can run to Sotheby's in the metaverse from our gallery. So we picked really good real estate, location. And then I got myself a point of interest, which for Decentraland, that's very important because it allows people to see what's going on without having to run around in metaverse just randomly.
Okay.
So those two things make my land rather valuable. There's a cutoff of 500,000 votes to get one of these now because the proposals are run through a DAO. So at current mana prices, that's going to run you about $1.8 million to get one of these passed.
And you can sell NFT artworks from this virtual land?
That's correct. I'm going to show you experience. I'm just going to, if you would indulge me, I'm just going to let about 20, 30 seconds run on this trailer that you gave me to put up here.
Somebody once told me falling in love was easy. Not letting life ruin that love. That was the hard part.
We think you need to talk to someone. Like a doctor.
All these doctors are in the city.
You're gonna live in the city with your sister.
And from this, Ben, you can purchase the film. You'll be able to purchase it, or take you directly to purchase the film.
Right there, right again.
Amazing. Okay.
See?
All right.
And now it's really cool. I did research. I watched the movie, and it's a fantastic movie. And it's about this artist called Kid 8. And Kid 8 actually did a series called Devols, which are generative evols. And it's really cool here.
That's an NFT project, right?
The NFT project. Generative series, 8.9 thousand items. Now, I don't know what he did with the rights, but had he attached back-end rights to this movie ahead of time, he could have sold these NFTs before the production even started and get vertical funding that way. And on top of that, once the movie gets out, these would be traded, according to how well or how poorly the movie did, and he could be getting royalties on each trade.
So talk to me a little about royalties. I'm actually surprised this is the first time it's come up. Talk to me a little bit about
he does
blockchain
have royalties on this, I'm guessing. If I pull up one of these specifically, you can find properties. I think there may be details. I'm not sure where it, to be honest, I'm not sure where it shows whether there's royalties or not, but you can build on OpenSea and other NFT platforms. You can build a royalty directly in. And as long as that NFT is traded on the platform, you will automatically get a percentage of each sale.
Even if you do no longer own it, and we're talking
correct.
about the creator. Okay,
That's
all
correct.
Right. Just making sure, and that is indefinitely. So you always
as long as the NFT and the blockchain and everything exists, you're getting the money if it's being traded.
Amazing.
So that is a pretty big game changer right there. So that is Decentraland's another great aspect. In the builder program, you get stats, and for CryptoVoxels as well. You can get stats on how many people visit your piece of land weekly, and you'll also get average of how much time they spent. In addition to this one, I also operate Pranksy's gallery. Pranksy is one of I believe Pranksy is Yeah, there we go. Number 44 on the list of most influential people. I also operate Pranksy's gallery there as well, and I put in independent artists for that as well. Pranksy was an early buy into this metaverse and others, which you'll see in a second. One of the newest ones I'm very excited about is the SandBox. This is going to go live for first 5,000 players, I believe, Q2 of 2022.
So just for an idea, sorry to interrupt you, Ben, just because we have a lot of filmmakers that are going to be watching this, just to give them an idea, currently, how many markets are selling film in the metaverses?
I know of, I believe, 3.
Okay.
On 2 different blockchains. It's a very nascent sector so far, right?
Okay.
There's a waterfall effect, and they're just now getting to film and audio and photography. Those are the 3 lagging sectors for adoption at the moment. So it is still a very new, and growing sector. The metaverse sector as well, but this metaverse sector involves tokenomics. It has its own native token called Sand, and this is a map of the entire world of SandBox. To give you an idea of how big this world actually is, we're going to zoom in. This is Pranksy's land, who I just showed you. I operate his land on Decentraland. See how many squares that is, right? So this is my land down here, this one. I'm going to show you a recording I did to give you the size idea of how big this world is. You see that?
No, what is it?
Oh, this movie I'm playing?
No, it's not popping up.
Oh man, I don't know.
Tragic.
I wish I could play that. I did I captured a screen, play of the level that I'm designing for my land. But to give you just a rough idea, to run from one side of this square to the other would take you roughly a minute and a half at least.
Goodness.
So you can
one side of the map,
how big it would be.
Yeah, it's a few hour run.
You're going to be an hour run at least from one or the other in here. It's just going to be massive.
And when does this open up? Is this opened up already?
This opens up, I believe, Q2 of 2022 for the first 5,000 players. And it's play to earn. This is a game changer. I believe, I can't remember, I can't quote which publication said it, but they said it's a $1 trillion opportunity.
Awesome. Yeah, it looks amazing. So how much right now do each parcel of land will go for?
I got in early, and so I decided to de-risk, and I sold off one parcel right here. For around $16,000.
Wow, that's amazing.
And location does still very much matter in these metaverses. Someone had one parcel next to Snoop Dogg's, and I don't know where his is at the moment. Somewhere over here. They sold one parcel off just because it was next to his parcel. They sold it off for like $1.2 million.
Wow.
So and the reason why there's so much fervor over this is because this is a paradigm shift. Again, there's play to earn is a complete paradigm shift in the gaming industry, and the ability to put third-party content on this platform. If you're releasing a movie and you put movie passes in your game, and then people can come on, try to play the game to win them, you're making money off their commerce onto your, there's just so many revenue possibilities in the future.
Well, Ben, I appreciate your tutorial and your
demonstration.
I have
two more.
Go ahead. Sorry. The SuperWorld. Sorry about that.
SuperWorld is an augmented reality platform. And basically you buy the land, and that represents your digital ownership rights of any AR commerce that happens in that physical area. So if we zoom in to portion that I purchased, so I own virtual land for Buckeyes Stadium up here, and the Columbus Crew. My bad.
And what are some things that you can do with this virtual real estate and virtual land?
So the SuperWorld app has an NFT marketplace as well. And if you create content and mint it as an NFT, then you can drop that NFT and you can do GLB files to make them 3D. You could drop movie files if you just wanted to show trailers and everything. And you
So
place
virtual concerts, virtual
Yes,
movies could
and
be
you can
held
place
at
it.
football stadiums.
You can place it physically in the area using their app. And then using their app, people can view the content just like they would Pokemon Go, the same way they do that. And if you
While being
partner-
there.
yeah, while being there. So you can have
Wow.
virtual, augmented reality halftime shows, for instance, or
That's
between
amazing.
breaks. So that's a I really encouraged about this space, the possibilities with this space as well. And then one last thing, I just want to show you a pet project I'm working on. It's called Art or Die. And it's a art battle platform for artists, collectors, anybody who wants to pit their art against somebody else's art. So you could even do two pieces within one person's collection. But the idea is you have a community and you have your community vote on which piece they like better. And we have different game modes on the way. This isn't fully functional website yet. It's just the MVP at the moment. But the one race for pink slips version, whoever wins gets the other person's art.
So do or die, really. If you lose,
do or
the
die, yeah.
competition, you have to give
That's
away
the
your
one game
asset.
mode that we're going to work with, and then we'll have other game modes down the line. And obviously, we're involving DAI, the stable token, as part of the branding and whatnot. So
that's amazing. And Ben, tell us where we could find you and where we could listen in on your weekly podcast.
You can find me on LinkedIn, Ben Horning, BB Studios. And I have a link to the Discord channel on there, so you can follow that, or you can go to TokenSmart and follow the link right there, Discord GG/NFT.
Awesome. All right, Ben. Well, let's get everyone back on board. I think I found 3 or 4 questions pertaining to legal and blockchain, and one in metaverse. So I'll start with you, Ben, since you were just speaking. Tell me about the marketing opportunities in the metaverse and how that's going to work.
It's the marketing opportunities right now are very organic, but because of the nature of the metaverses, you have the ability to own portions of these metaverses, and your marketing now becomes an asset instead of liability, right? Traditional marketing, you're burning money to reach your audiences with, you hope to drive sales. With Web3 marketing, you need to own the assets that allow you to market, right? But those assets become worth money. They become worth money instead of a liability. So I'd say that's a big difference right there.
Amazing. All right, so this one goes for, it could go between the legals and Emmanuel, but someone asked, how do you execute a smart contract? Is that
for a smart contract? If it's a smart contract, it's usually on the blockchain. It depends on what you want on the contract. And again, from a legal point of view, as Attorney Peter said earlier, is what do you want to be accomplished, right? Before this happens, what's on this side? So to execute it, you need both parties to agree to it from, let's say, the real world, and then you code it again. You put it into the computer lingo, if you will, and then you can execute it. I mean, the good news is, the blockchain community is very vast, right? There's a lot of scripts out there that you can look at. You don't need to reinvent the wheel, right? But you definitely need, a lot of people think, you're getting rid of the sort of the legal people behind it, but no, this is when you need them more. they need to make sure it makes sense, right? I mean, I'm a programmer by trade, and then when I talk to some of my programmers, when we did a few things, I'm like, did you talk to, attorney so and so? They're like, no, but you told us to do this. I go, yeah, but that's different. Coding is different from the legal, right?
So can you not go back, and is it easier or harder than the current system to go back and fix a smart contract?
Well, once a smart contract is on the blockchain, it's harder to fix. That's why it's very essential that both groups from the real world, so you got the legal eagles there, and then the coders, right? Or at least someone representing the coders, because sometimes these guys won't talk to lawyers, right?
Mhm.
But you need you need that check and balance for sure, for sure.
Awesome. Well, I hope everyone gets me their calendars. I think that was the last question. If we do have more, I'll let it go for the next 2 minutes just to see if we do. Ben, also, I saw something about OpenSea real estate, and someone texted me asking, can you buy real estate of other metaverses through OpenSea?
You can, and I want to show everybody one thing, just to save them money.
Okay.
Everyone see my screen again? If
Yeah.
you're buying land, you can search by coordinate if that's what you want to do. So, and I picked a bad coordinate. All right, if you want to search for SandBox land, right?
Uh-huh.
The number one thing you want to, I don't know what happened there.
It's next tab. Oh.
No, I don't know what happened there. SandBox, let me pull it up again.
And while he's doing this, everyone get your last questions in, please.
What you absolutely want to do when you're buying land, you want to search for the land by the category, and you absolutely want to make sure if you're buying Metaverse land, it's going to need to have this verified check mark next to the category. If it doesn't, somebody's trying to scam you.
Yep.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate that, Ben. I think that's going to be the last questions. I appreciate you guys for taking an hour of your workday to be on this call and educating all these filmmakers. There will be a recorded version. That was a question, and I will send you guys all clips of your portion. And like I said, thank you, and I'll see you guys soon.